But as we were talking about with reflexive assets, like it's the pattern. Things go in these crazy downtrends, then they break the downtrend. Then crypto Twitter starts to pick up on the narratives that were already there about why this asset is bullish. And then that kind of reflexive cycle, that narrative brings more capital into the asset, which feeds, it's like a flywheel. The new participants spread the narrative and you get this reflexive virtuous loop. So we have to find tokens that are starting to turn.
This episode is brought to you by Kraken OTC. Get access to 24/7 trading services for high net worth individuals and institutional clients to execute orders over $50,000. You'll hear more about them later in the show. As always, investments in blockchain technology involve risk, terms, and conditions apply.
Okay, welcome back to another 1000X podcast. This is a good one because we get to shit on some haters that told us that we were dumb for buying ETH. And I think what's really funny to me is this encapsulates one of the most common trading errors that I see day in, day out and this goes for like somebody that first got into trading to somebody that's been trading for 20 years. The hardest thing that you can do is buy something at a higher price than when you first started looking at it. It's like, or after you sold it, like that. If you sold something to buy back in at a higher price is like the most difficult thing you can do as a trader. And it is like a huge mistake that I see people making all the time, that I saw all you fucking haters in the comments making over and over and over. Give you an example. Joan and I have been hating on ETH for a while. We started hating on ETH when the ETH BTC ratio was, it was like 0.6 when we were.
Yeah, that's where you started hating on it. Like I got on the bandwagon around
it's like 40% down from where we started hating on it. Like the lows of the lows from where we started hating on it is it drew down 70%. And then, as we've said, many podcasts, you guys need to get through your head. We made a little mistake. We maintained no exposure to ETH for a little bit too long. And then ETH started rallying. And he started going up. And we were like, still don't like it. ETH went up a little bit more. We're like, okay, still don't really like it. And then we sort of came around to the idea that maybe we should buy some ETH because these treasury companies started buying a ton. The technical started looking a lot better. There was no leverage in the system. We were like, okay, fuck, like maybe. And this, by the way, was around 0.3 on the ETH BTC ratio. We're like, okay, maybe we should buy some. This is what we said 14 days ago. We're like, okay, maybe we should start buying some ETH because it's starting to look good. And yeah, we didn't pick the bottom. We didn't pick the absolute lows, but ETH is up 20% since then. And we both made 20% on our money since then. And so that's pretty good.
We literally YOLO'd it on the podcast while we were sitting talking to each other. I don't think it was a mistake to not buy the lows. How many people?
To be clear, I think we were bear pilled too long because we were so negative on ETH for such a long time. Like we didn't see the green shoots. Like the treasury company thing and the technicals happened probably 2 to 3 weeks before we bought ETH. Like we could have probably made the same argument 2 weeks earlier, which I get, right? Like I get that's why people were like, well, you kind of were blinded by your hatred. But what I don't understand is after we said we bought ETH, there were a lot of people in the comments going, you fucking losers. Like, why are you buying ETH now after the move is done? And it's like, because we trade, because we're traders, and we saw an opportunity that had pretty good RR and we bought it and then it worked. I mean, this is not a complicated thing to understand, or it shouldn't be for most people. For you, the listener that was in our comments about this, maybe it's difficult to understand. I don't know. In which case I'd say take a seat on the bench, but it's it's one of those things where you just have to, you have to be mentally flexible. And you can't say to yourself, oh, well, just because I missed the move makes it a bad idea to buy now, right?
Yeah.
It's like saying, it's the equivalent of Bitcoin when Bitcoin goes, Bitcoin traded over the summer at 50K, and then traded all the way back up to 72K, which was the highs of the range. After Trump got elected, it goes to 75, and you're like, oh fuck, I missed a 50% move. Terrible idea to buy it now. Like I can't buy it now. And then it goes to $107,000. You're like, you an idiot? Like this is a reflexive asset class. Like buying things after a large move can sometimes be the wrong thing if it's like a terrible asset. Like if it's a world coin and there's a ton of there's a ton of like adverse selling that's going on. Yeah, sure. If you activate new supply, sure, okay, whatever. But the reality of the situation is that when the technicals align, it's not, you didn't necessarily miss the move. You might have not gotten the perfect entry, but you didn't necessarily miss a move. And the other thing is you're allowed to trade. Like you're allowed to be a trader. You're allowed to say, okay, well, maybe I'm not going to go invest in this thing and buy it and hold it for 3 years. You're allowed to say, okay, well, I think this is due for a 20 to 25% move because of everything that we're seeing. Right? And this is kind of what we did with ETH. I don't know. I just thought that was really funny, Jonah.
Yeah, I thought it was funny too. I mean, the online loathing that came at us for buying ETH at a level other than the absolute deadball lows of a 4-year long, extremely smooth sell-off is just shocking. I mean, I want to say I'm surprised, but I'm not, because I guess people expect us to just have all the answers. Frankly, like for me personally, I rotated all my ETH into Bitcoin when the ETH BTC chart was around 0.055. And no, I did not rotate it all back into ETH at 0.02 on the lows. I rotated all back in at 0.03, and now it's up 20%. So like that's called buying low and selling high. That's not called making a mistake. Now, the accounts that I think are totally full of crap are the ones that bull posted ETH every single day from the absolute Pico top of 2021 all the way to the bottom, the Pico bottom of April 2025. And they're still bull posting like, I was right. I told you. It's like, no, you didn't. You were just wrong. And now finally you're less wrong. Like even a broken clock is right twice a day. The broken clocks on Twitter who are just like ETH pilled to the point where they can't see reality or price action, they're right, once every 4 years. And that's not good enough in trading. You have to be right more often than that. I got the same kind of hate for hype. Like you didn't really bear post hype. I used to when hype was trading like $35 a token back in March ish. I bear posted it and then I bought it after one of our podcasts for $12. And people are like, well, how could you possibly bear post and then now you like it? Like nothing's changed. The story's still there. It's like, well, actually the price sold off by 65%. That's what changed. And I learned a little bit more from Flood. To your point about a reflexive asset, it's a pattern, right? Token X sells off for a very long time. So long that you can totally be forgiven for missing the Pico bottom, because Pico bottoms occur by definition when very few people are buying, right? Only a very select special handful of people manage to bottom tick this. And I'm not talking about the people that rode it all the way down from the top and are now kind of happy about it. I'm talking about the people who entered on the lows. Very rare group by definition. There is like, I think there's kind of a case that ETH could probably double, maybe triple from here, but I'll certainly be rotating back to Bitcoin just for a trade if the market cap of ETH breaches $1 trillion. I think that you need to fulfill some pretty stratospheric expectations at the societal level for ETH to justify that valuation. Whereas I think Bitcoin still has quite a ways to go. I could be wrong, willing to reevaluate that. But as we were talking about with reflexive assets, like it's the pattern. Things go in these crazy downtrends, then they break the downtrend. Then crypto Twitter starts to pick up on the narratives that were already there about why this asset is bullish, why ETH is bullish, why Galaxy is bullish, why Aerodrome is bullish, and then that kind of reflexive cycle, that narrative brings more capital into the asset, which feeds. It's like a flywheel. The capital brings more attention and more interest to the narrative. The new participants spread the narrative, and you get this reflexive, virtuous loop. So I guess what we have to do, you and I, and the listeners, is we have to find tokens that are starting to turn. Right? It's okay if we don't buy the Pico bottom or buy it while it's like listing around and the rest of the space is rallying. I like to buy breakouts in crypto. I think catching a falling knife is a recipe for losing all your money. You kind of want to wait for these things to bottom out, then start to rally, then start to get the random bull posters like what happened with Galaxy, just talking about how Galaxy is the greatest thing to be incorporated since ExxonMobil or Apple. We have to look for those narratives. And I guess before the call, you were talking a bit about Aave. That one seems to be potentially a breakout to buy if it happens. Like, what were you thinking there?
Well, oh yeah. I mean, on that one specifically, I think that if you just look at TVL, I mean, it's kind of what happened with Athena. USDE just starts absolutely printing obscene amounts of itself, goes from 5 billion to 10 billion in the span of a month over the last 30 days, and Athena's price is tracked alongside of it. Aave has experienced something similar. I mean, the TVL, if you go look for Aave, has really exploded in the last 3 months. I mean, okay, let's starting on the last 6 weeks. Starting on June 26th, TVL was 25 billion. Today, it's 38 billion. That's a pretty massive increase. And I don't think we've seen a substantial run yet from Aave, which is why, like, I'm getting kind of bullish on these. We talked a little bit about it last time on the podcast, but this cycle, I think we both came to the conclusion, is it's more of an institutional cycle. It's the institutional capital. It's where TradFi folk, where Wall Street folk going to put their money. And Athena seems to be capturing some of that attention. I think Aave is a great place for that money to go. It just needs to get a little bit easier to access. Ripple, ETH, and Bitcoin. And then my best guess for what happens over the next 6 to 12 months is that everything in crypto kind of puts in a crazy rally. That through the end of December, you see, like, or maybe October, November, you see a crazy rally from crypto where money, it starts to get stupid. And then you start to see collapses across the board. You start to see Bitcoin come down a decent amount. You start to see ETH. I think basically everything ex Bitcoin starts to collapse pretty aggressively. Bitcoin, maybe you see like a 25 to 35% drawdown, and then it just continues trucking along because I think Bitcoin is going to continue to attract flows. I mean, it's in 401ks now. It's in IRAs. It's, people, basically everybody at this point, almost everybody can buy this thing that wants it, that wants to buy this thing, and it's just a matter of time to be allocated. But I do think that, like, we're setting up for something stupid ex BTC, and you kind of want to be positioned for that, and you want to be positioned in the names like where can money flow. So it's like for the next few months, I probably just want to have that portfolio of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Aave. Maybe a little bit of Athena, and then obviously the 1000X token.
Shameless Phil.
Handling large digital asset trades requires precision. Kraken OTC gives high net worth individuals and institutions access to deep liquidity and competitive execution for crypto orders over $50,000 with minimal market impact and around-the-clock support. Trade via chat or RFQ at kraken.com/blockworks. Shout out to today's sponsor, Katana. Katana is a DeFi-first chain built for deep liquidity and high yield. No empty emissions, just real yield and sequencer fees routed back to DeFi users. Incubated by Polygon Labs and GSR, Katana is launching with notable ecosystem of primitives, assets, and partners like Morpho, Chainlink, and more. Katana's 1 billion CAT campaign is live. Bridge and deposit directly into vaults in one simple click and start earning immediately on your Ether, Bitcoin, USDC, and more. Follow the link in today's show notes to get started. As always, investments in blockchain technology involve risk, terms, and conditions apply.
You know what I think is about to get stupid? I think we're getting like the tea leaves are readable now. We are going to get an ETH alt season, right? The reason why Athena is up is because as ETH rallies, ETH basis rallies, as participants look for leverage, they buy the derivatives extend relative to spot, basis increases. Athena helps you capture that. So ETH yields, basically USDE yields on Athena go up as ETH basis goes up, capital flows in, people see the TVL chart go up, they buy the Athena token, right? That's another flywheel. Aave, same thing is about to happen there. Basically, as ETH starts to bounce off of the lows of this crazy bear cycle, ETH-related altcoins are going to full send. So maybe that's, excuse me, maybe that's where we get our alt season this time. And then just looking at Bitcoin, I'm not a technical guy, I'm not a chart reader, but I just don't see what stops this thing. My gut is tingling. It feels like Bitcoin is going straight to 150K. Do not stop, do not pass go, do not collect $100, $200, whatever it is, like the Monopoly analogy. This thing is just going to teleport higher. And so for me, it's like Bitcoin, I hate being long ETH because of how accustomed I am to hating ETH, but I'm long ETH with leverage like a degen. And I think it's time to start rolling risk out the curve. I think it might be a little too late for Athena, maybe not, no opinion there. But I think Aave is looking good here. I think Aave, once it starts to rally, I'm going to buy a breakout. Aerodrome, I freaking love that token. I think it's going to flip Uniswap. Like you look at the tokenomics and how the team can't.
What? Like what? Yeah. What about it do you really like?
Buybacks, the way that they share their fees with stakers. I think another great thing about Aerodrome is the fact that the team's tokens are locked. There aren't VCs ready to dump on any rally. And basically the Aerodrome team only gets paid if the token generates emissions. Basically, if the product is useful. If the product exhibits utility, then the team gets paid off of emissions. But it's not like they're just sitting on gigantic bags waiting to sell a pop, which is, I think, kind of a very difficult way to set up a crypto project or even a company. It's hard to be generous when you create equity agreements or tokenomics. You want to like create some sort of windfall outcome for yourself, like that EOS founder who just bought a $200 million villa in Sardinia. Like that's kind of what's going through the minds of all these like greedy 22-year-old crypto wannabe rich kids, right? And it takes a really mature group of people to build a product that's both useful and value accretive to the stakeholders, not just a couple of insiders. So, Uniswap, I think it's, you look inside what's going on base. Aerodrome dominates most of the liquidity for a reason, right? It's just cheaper to trade there, and people who create pools get bigger rewards by putting it on Aerodrome. The tokenomics are better for Aerodrome. Uniswap, meanwhile, like every VC from Paradigm on down, and Hayden Adams, A16Z, they all have gigantic bags to puke on people, just like they did during the previous cycle. And the product itself is less useful and less interesting for LPs. So, like for me, if you just design a better product and you're less greedy, this is the same thing that the founder of VTOL did when he set it up. He limited his ownership stake to 5%. He was like, I can own 90% of a $1 billion company or 5% of a company worth 20 plus. I'll probably have the same net worth in either case ish, but the latter option, allows me to live a more interesting life. I can incentivize the smartest people to work with me. I can travel the world and do cool things and change history. And he wasn't just right. He was so right that he created something that was worth 50 to 100 by doing that, by being generous when it was difficult to be generous, by handing out equity to the people that could help him build something bigger than what he could have built just by himself. And that's why VTOL is this like massive, dominant, extraordinary company. And their closest competitors like Gunvor, which are 90% owned by like one kleptocrat. Great company. Gunvor is a great company too, but it's just like a piddling little afterthought compared to VTOL. And Aerodrome is kind of taking the VTOL approach, right? Like they're building for the long run. And that's why I think that token will perform. And there's just, stock and flow, just less selling, better product, higher token price. You're on mute.
I think that's as great an explanation as you're going to get. You really think this thing can flip Uniswap though? Yeah,
I mean, it's now's the time, right? Because it just broke out. It was like selling off randomly for I don't know what reason, but now it just broke the downward trend channel. We trade crypto. We know how to trade reflexive assets. George Soros's book is, fresh in our minds, you and me. You recommended that book. It's great. And okay, now it broke the downward trend channel. You can't open crypto Twitter now without seeing 15 different people like putting together, like threadors putting together these long theses on why Aerodrome is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And that's just going to attract more capital and more stakeholders, more influencers, higher token price, et cetera, et cetera. But there's no dumping, right? There's nothing to stop this one. That's why I like it.
I also think that one thing that's obviously really helped it is the integration of on-chain with Coinbase is like unbelievable. The fact that you will basically be able to interact with Base completely and fully within the Coinbase ecosystem at some point in the future, that's going to be incredible, right? Like you're basically, one of the issues with on-chain that everyone's always talked about is just how difficult it's been to access and how difficult it is for like your average person to use. I mean, if Coinbase can integrate this, then at some point in the future, I assume Robinhood's going to integrate this. And then at some point in the future, you're going to see like a Fidelity, probably like 3 or 4 years from now, actually integrate it. But by this move, you kind of see the writing on the wall, where you're going to get these applications that exist on top of these on-chain infrastructure. You can use that on-chain infrastructure in any way that you possibly could like, but through an easy to work with interface that you just kind of sign up for instead of, creating a wallet. I mean, like MetaMask is going to be the equivalent of using the terminal on your computer, right? It's like there are still people that use the terminal because the terminal gives you greater access to your computer. But most people just, instead of looking for a file or creating a directory on the terminal, they're just going to like right click new folder in their Finder app on their Mac, right? They're not going to be messing around with the terminal, even though the terminal has a lot more functionality. That's the way that I view wallets moving forward. That's the way that I view, your Phantoms of the world, your MetaMasks of the world. I just don't think that they'll be able to compete with a combined on-chain, off-chain experience. They're going to be, I think, obsolete in the next 2 to 3 years.
Interesting.
And what you're going to see is you're going to see all of this infrastructure basically pass through a Coinbase or a Robinhood, which is super bullish for stuff like Aerodrome, specifically right now because it's Base, right? Like the thing that's being integrated right now is Base on Coinbase. It's not, they're not going out and integrating Solana on chain. They're not integrating base level ETH on chain. They're integrating Base. And in the future, that's obviously going to be widened out a lot. But for now, that's just ridiculously bullish for everything on Base.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? I mean, Coinbase has 100 million users, and Coinbase has a really slick user experience. And the more markets that are on Coinbase, the more people will trade them. The more trading that goes on, if some of it's getting routed to the DEX ecosystem that Aerodrome is just dominating, then obviously there's there's a lot of upside for Aerodrome token holders. It feels like a moment where you have this product that's going from kind of like the backwater world of esoteric on-chain degenerate trading to kind of prime time where retail will just click and deal. And I think, what the shit coins that are listed on Aerodrome right now are sort of just the beginning. Like, I think eventually you'll have prediction markets on there. I think you'll have FX, basically this is like an interesting way to have the on-chain world merge with the centralized off-chain world. And Aerodrome kind of, like, they don't have a monopoly on the funnel. It's not like Coinbase has just anointed them. They just earned it, right? They just sort of won pole position there. And unless Uniswap changes its tokenomics and structure, and unless the VCs are done selling Uni, like, I don't really see how anybody, I don't really see how they get impeached from their current pole position. I just don't. So maybe that's a good, like, momentum trade right here. For maybe you can land a 3-bagger or a 5-bagger. Not that would be financial advice. You could also lose all your money. Who knows? These are just magic internet coins. But it feels good.
Yeah, it does. It certainly does feel good that there are things happening again, and they're interesting products that are really, like, gaining traction. I feel like for a while we would sit here and we'd go back and forth and be like, oh fuck, like, it's kind of just hyper liquid right now. And now we've added 2 more. We've added Aerodrome and we've added Aave to the list of things that we could buy. What I have noticed, though, just as a tangent, is that my group chats that used to be like shitcoin group chats are kind of popping off again. And they're like throwing out all these, like, random esoteric coins. It's like the gambling spark. I think a lot of people on crypto Twitter kind of got very jaded, Jonah, and they were sitting there like, I'm gonna, like, basically look at, like, the same list of things that I've looked at for the last 2 years, and to their point, most of those things are not doing particularly well. Like, if you look at the stuff that's been around, not really doing that great.
Down bad. Yeah.
Like, where the fuck is whiff trading? Right? Like, dog whiff hat, 95 cents. Not doing so great. Now,
stagnating.
I don't own this, and nor I'm not telling you to buy it. I don't own it. I'm probably never going to buy it myself. It might just go up. But, like, for example, they're like the shitcoin group chats are talking about something called KTA, which is called Kita Network. And if you go to the website, it looks like something straight out of 2017. The tagline is "Where Networks Connect," and then the second is Kita serves as the common ground for all payment networks and assets. And it's like, yeah, it's like more scalable than other. It's like fucking Fugazi woozy wazi shit. But somehow they got Eric Schmidt, the founder of Google, to invest in it.
I have a theory about how, but I can't share it on a public call.
Yeah, no shit. Please share it. I need you. And so basically, I think I know what you might say. Actually, I think I know exactly what you're gonna say, and we can talk about it.
Yeah. Anyway, tell me more about the future of money. What's it called?
Kita, and it's like fucking been up only. It like tripled over the last 2 months. It's at a 1.5 billion FTV, and people are just really excited about it. There's another one called REI Network that people are getting really excited about. Have you heard of this?
Yeah, but I thought it was spam bots. I keep banning people from our group chat, from our 1000X, like the Niger Delta Avengers room. They're like, "Have you seen REI? Like, it's incredible." I'm like, I assumed it was just one of those, like, those spam bots with the anime woman profile picture, just putting, like, drain your wallet links in our chat. I didn't realize this was actually a real coin with the actual traction.
I mean, if it's like in my personal opinion, once again, complete scam. Zero X REI Search is a dynamic collective of AI and crypto enthusiasts committed to revolutionizing the intersection of artificial intelligence and blockchain. Our mission is to pioneer innovative methods for blah, 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 blah. Okay. But if you look at the chart since April 1st of this year, it's gone from 16 million market cap to 200 million in like kind of a straight line.
Yeah.
All of this to say, like, I'm not, again, just to reiterate, because sometimes people are kind of dumb and they think that I'm like playing a game. They think that I'm saying, oh no, like I don't own this. I don't like, no, like these, I genuinely don't own these things and I'm genuinely not going to touch them. I bring them up to point out that the gambling is back. It's just in an area that you might not be paying attention to, right? It's like there are these weird esoteric, I don't want to say weird and esoteric because it just might be that we are not quote unquote plugged in anymore.
Yeah.
Like your average crypto Twitter participant might just not be plugged in to the same places that these things are happening, and you maybe need to if you want to go gamble and make this type of money on crypto, like if you want to play that shitcoin game, maybe you have to change your sources of information.
Yeah.
But it's happening. Like the gambling that we've so sorely missed for like 4 years. It's like it is happening in certain areas.
Is that well, let me just provide another anecdote to support yours and then ask you a question. So for me, what really gets me, you might be too young for this, but have you ever seen Magnolia with Tom Cruise?
No.
Basically, the premise is Tom Cruise is like a guy with, shoulder length, straight hair and a ponytail. And like he goes around kind of Tony Robbins motivational speaker style, speaking to groups of like young incel men who like teaching them how to get women. It's so comical. It's like a late night infomercial kind of feel that the director did. It's a great director, Paul Thomas Anderson, same as There Will Be Blood. It's just genius film. Anyway, he looks and talks exactly like Murad, the SPX 6900 guy, who will be like, you are joining a cult movement that will take over the entire world. The market cap of SPX 6900 is going to $100 trillion. And I'm just watching these videos online and I'm thinking to myself, here comes the question for you, Avi. Like, nice to see the animal spirits are back. Nice to see that the comical Tom Cruise persona, not comparing Murad's looks to Tom Cruise, just for the record. I'm just saying that he's got the same hairdo as Tom Cruise did in Magnolia. In late night infomercial shills for meme coins. Like, I don't know whether this means that things are just getting started or whether this is like the ultimate top signal froth, like get the hell out of the way because this is all going to zero again indicator. I think it means things are just getting started, but I just feel like we should talk about it because it's too ridiculous to ignore at this point.
Murad is like a really interesting case. I mean, he just like, so I've known the guy for a long time. He blew up he was a brilliant trader, extremely aggressive guy. Blew up his first fund, Adaptive Capital, in the COVID crash, which, to his credit, like people give him shit for blowing up. I don't, because it was very difficult to not blow up in that crash. Actually, most people blew up in that crash. Most people just didn't do it in the ballsy, spectacular way that he decided to do it, which is lever up his whole fund, right? But the reality is that a lot of people blew up. And so, I don't hold that against him in any way, but he was a deep Bitcoiner, like pure Bitcoiner. And he's just gone deep on this SPX 6900 thing. I mean, he's really like gone deep on the whole meme coin thesis, that meme coins are the future, that gambling is the future, that all of this is like, it's like this stuff has staying power. And I just don't buy it, Jonah. I genuinely just don't buy it. I mean, and he's a smart guy. So like, I like saw the performative act that he was putting on Twitter, and that's kind of what I assume it is, performative act. But I'm sure there's some kernel of belief in this. Like he does genuinely believe that the meme coin thesis plays out, which is that attention is all that matters and that people will just throw their money into things that provide them a sense of community, or they get to enjoy being part of a cult. And I just consistently see these meme coin communities fracture day in and day out. I mean, you know, year and a half ago, Dog with Hat had the strongest meme coin culture, and then it just completely fractured, right? And you can insert any meme coin here that's kind of been true for everything except for Dogecoin. And Dogecoin kind of only exists today in the state that it exists because the richest man in the entire world took it under his wing. Right.
Yeah.
I think without that, Dogecoin is probably 90% lower. Like it's down 90% from where it is today. So it's like it's kind of hard for me to really understand what's going on. But the conclusion that I come to is just that basically these periods of gambling come around once every few years, and you're never like, you kind of just need to be positioned for it, right? Like there's going to be like a 2 to 3 week period where everything goes, all these like weird shitty things go 10 to 50x, and if you're not already in it, you're probably not going to catch it. And that's probably what he's trying to do here.
Yeah. It's sort of funny. It's like, it's, you know, nobody ever talked about gambling on Ponzi schemes when I was a kid. When the word gambling was associated with, like, if you're rich, you go to Vegas. If you're less rich, you go to Reno or Atlantic City, and you sit in a smoke-filled room and you pull the slot machine. Which I guess now that I think about it, like, isn't necessarily any more or less exciting than investing in an online Ponzi where you just get to click refresh on Twitter all day and see who's talking about your bags. In fact, Ponzi schemes like meme coins are actually probably a lot more entertaining than going and sitting next to a 78-year-old woman on a slot machine sort of casino floor. So you know what? Nothing against 78-year-old ladies. My mom's 78. She's great. Love you, Mom. It's just a different form of gambling. I think at this point, like, I guess nothing I'm invested in right now is going to 50x in 3 weeks. Maybe I need to, maybe this is something that you and I are we can talk about, like, how we're approaching this as guys who are starting to get, like, mature. We've been in it for a couple of cycles, especially you. We're starting to mature out of, like, the real online degen Discord 24/7 monitoring of the shitcoin space. Like, we're starting to have more macro theses and invest more money in things with lower return profiles but less risk, because we're trying to protect capital instead of grow it. Like, are we just getting old? Like, are we the boomers that we used to make fun of, who would just look at crypto as an entire sector and dismiss it? Should we really be investing in these things that we have absolutely no belief in, and that promise ridiculous stuff just because it's all going to 50x? Or do you think it's more going to selectively 50x? I think the reason why I'm not FOMOing is because I think there are too many coins for all of it to go up. I think it's going to be a very selective few assets that do that sort of move.
Well, I think it's important for us to really try not to be those boomers, because we can do one of two things with this podcast and with each other. We can either talk to each other about how we would invest, or we could try to use the skills that we've built up over our entire life to figure out how, what somebody that was in our shoes, what somebody that what is a 22-year-old going to do? Like, what is a 22-year-old that is not in our shoes, is what I meant to say. How are they going to look at the world, and how can we help them navigate this whole shit, right? We can talk about trading Bitcoin and trading ETH and all this other stuff, but I do think we owe it to ourselves and to our audience to, like, dive in to, like, what else is out there, which is why I spent 45 minutes reading these shitcoin chats, trying to understand, like, where the fuck are these people getting their information from? Because I need to know. Like I need to know like who's shilling Zora, like who's shilling KTA, who's shilling REI, like what's happening here, because I do think that there is opportunity. There is opportunity to really like scan for things and try to find them early and like make these 10, 20, 30, 50K bets that turn into 100 to 250K, right?
Yeah.
I think and especially like what we can do is we can say, hey, maybe look at that stuff now, and at the end of August, if we feel like things are getting overheated, we can say, hey, maybe stop looking at that stuff now, because now you're just like, now it's value extractor mode. I think that's the hardest thing for people to do, is switch their mentality from this is when I play to this is when I leave the table. People don't know when to join the table and they don't know when to leave the table, and I think we've sort of figured that out. That's definitely a skill that we have. We know when we should be playing the game, and we know when we shouldn't be playing the game. And right now,
So
it seems like the beginning, like the game is getting started, and at some point in the next 3 to 5 weeks, the game's probably going to be over for this type of trade. And so I guess what I'm saying is, hey, maybe start going on TikTok and reading like the comments and try to like play this roulette for the next 4 weeks. That might actually be a reasonable strategy.
Handling large digital asset trades requires precision. Kraken OTC gives high net worth individuals and institutions access to deep liquidity and competitive execution for crypto orders over $50,000 with minimal market impact and around-the-clock support. Trade via chat or RFQ at kraken.com/blockworks. Shout out to today's sponsor, Katana. Katana is a DeFi-first chain built for deep liquidity and high yield. No empty emissions, just real yield and sequencer fees routed back to DeFi users. Incubated by Polygon Labs and GSR, Katana is launching with notable ecosystem of primitives, assets, and partners like Morpho, Chainlink, and more. Katana's 1 billion CAT campaign is live. Bridge and deposit directly into vaults in one simple click and start earning immediately on your Ether, Bitcoin, USDC, and more. Follow the link in today's show notes to get started. As always, investments in blockchain technology involve risk, terms, and conditions apply.
you know what I'm realizing just talking to you about this, Avi? ETH is really the benchmark of online degeneracy. Like Bitcoin full sent. It went from 20K to 120K in a straight line. And people weren't like rolling out of Bitcoin to bet on stuff. I think the Bitcoin participant base is just a little bit too tinfoil hat, weird, like Bitcoin maximalist or institutional or mom and pop believe in that, but not the rest of it, not in crypto. But like once ETH started pumping, that's when all of the little random woodland creatures came out of their holes and started shilling all of these random tokens, and they started to send. So to me, maybe our barometer, we should just, for the purposes of the like listeners out there looking to decide when to invest in risky crypto assets, maybe you just take Bitcoin off your board and you just watch what ETH is doing. And if ETH is above a short-term moving average, like 4, 8, or 16 days, you can feel comfortable with this stuff. But as soon as ETH starts to tank, and by ETH, I mean ETH BTC, I think some of this could unwind. Maybe another thing is like another way to look at it is rather than a moving average and ETH price action, you could look at ETH treasury companies. You could say, all right, how many billions are left to buy? Who's doing? Like, let me make a list of all the treasury companies and the sizes that they've lined up and monitor them every day and see like which ETH treasury companies are buying ETH, how much do they have to buy, when are they going to buy it? And as long as that flow is coming in, all of the weird stuff is going to keep rallying, including NFTs. Like CryptoPunks just blasted through their through the floor price, the previously established floor price. There's sweeps going on. Punks OTC bought a monkey punk, ape punk, whatever it's called. Like this stuff is all rallying bigly. So I think as long as the ETH treasury companies keep lifting, we're in we're in the safe zone for the riskier assets. And then if ETH gets less frothy, get out the way, because all that stuff is coming right back down to earth. Treasury companies, though, you would know more than me. What's their time frame? Are they going to be buying for a while, or is this all just a flash in the pan?
They're gonna be buying until people start giving them money.
Yeah, and people will keep giving them money. Reflexivity again. They'll keep giving them money as long as it works. This is nuts. I love crypto.
Yeah, this is totally nuts. I mean, look, it's when Wall Street runs out of appetite, but for now, they just keep going. And that's the thing about. I think you're right on ETH. ETH is the harbinger of alt season, and so now that ETH is like really pumping, it's probably going to start. People are going to probably start allocating elsewhere. Have you checked NFTs anytime? Like have you looked at their prices and what they've done?
I follow Punk's OTC's analysis of the Punks market. I haven't looked at the other stuff. I see that like Fidenzas are going, Punks are going. I don't think people are buying expensive NFTs on other chains. Like I don't think we're seeing the Azuki phenomenon this time. Solana feels like a little bit of a ghost town right now for I don't know what reason. It's all about ETH base, ETH related.
Yeah, I mean things are up in ETH terms. That's what I'm seeing. Like a decent amount. Like Punks over the last 30 days, they're up 32% against ETH. Even Bored Apes are up 20% against ETH. Pudgy Penguins up 34% against ETH. Oh wow, Pudgy Penguins! I always forget like they just ran so freaking hard. They were selling them in Walmarts. I mean, and they produce all these like cute like TikTok. If you're on TikTok, like you'll see these videos. If you're on the TikTok, you'll see the videos. They're everywhere. It's like.
Are you on the
like
TikTok,
cute.
Avi?
I am on the TikTok. It's like these cute little penguins that hang out with each other, and I don't know. Women really like it. Chromie Squiggles are up 50%. It's pretty
Another
good.
project I just don't vibe with, but yeah, people love it. Like, oh, this is the most important artwork since Da Vinci, but I can't see it. I like Fidenzas. I love CryptoPunks. The Ether Rock thing is awesome. I love autoglyphs. Larva Labs under new management is a cool thing. But yeah, I like that the quirkier side of crypto is coming back. I hope it comes back to stay this time, and it doesn't become something that we all get mocked for.
Yeah, let's find out.
What else do we have to talk about here?
I think basically wait for ETH to run out of steam and then stop playing the game. But one thing that I'll leave you with is I pulled a Jonah.
What'd you do?
And I tweeted out, tell me about KTA and REI. What are these things? What are these complete scams? Up only? Who is buying this stuff? Where are the gamblers getting their information out? I don't see it on CT anymore. As an attempt to rage bait these people into giving me their information.
I love that.
Because if I ask somebody nicely, I'm like, hey guys, how do I find out what you're seeing? Like, where should I go? They're gonna be like, fuck off, man. That's my information. If I'm like, dude, you're a fucking idiot. You like these things are complete scams. Show me that they're not complete scams. They're like, take all of my information.
It is amazing how well that works, and people fall for it every time. Nobody's like, oh, you're just trying to rage bait me for information. I'm not going to tell you. Like, what? No, it's literally like the way that you've seen it on like shows like Planet Earth, or maybe in middle school, the way that like a couple of dudes will go at each other on the playground. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Definitely rage bait people more on Twitter, Avi. We miss you on Twitter.
I'm back.
I have yes, Avi's back. I have a question for you. What if there's another black swan in the macro space that I've been monitoring? It hit my radar this week. Avi, what if the legal system in the United States strikes down Trump's unilateral tariff stuff? Like normally you're supposed to have congressional approval to slap tariffs on foreign countries, and he's kind of been negotiating all these trade deals under the guise of like a national emergency that he kind of declared, which is legally borderline and possibly spurious. I think I'd put like a 80% chance that all of this sticks, but like there's a 20, maybe 25% chance that this goes to the Supreme Court and they say like, actually Trump acted illegally. He had no authority to do any of this. Does the stock market just gas higher if that happens and crypto with it? Or do we just get another spat of insane volatility and lower prices?
It's kind of hard to say, to be honest. My general take on these types of things are that whatever happens, it's short term. Like the market has the market has a predetermined path at this point, and that's up and to the right. And so if it gasses higher, then it probably comes down a little bit and returns to its march up. And if the market panics and freaks out, then that's probably also short-lived and it goes back to its march. I mean, look, Jonah, if tariffs, like massive tariffs on countries couldn't nuke the market, it's over. Like what truly is going to nuke the market unless it's a war?
An actual nuke, yeah.
Like an actual nuke. One area that politics could have an influence is weed.
I saw
Hear
this.
me out. If Trump reclassifies marijuana, then that's going to be extremely good for like the weed complex. So
yeah, isn't there an ETF with all the different weed companies in it? Let's pull that up.
Yeah, the Round Hill Cannabis ETF is up 52% over the last month.
Oh, wow. And if he approves it, it's just going to go even higher.
And if he genuinely like follows through on this, it's gonna be a lot higher.
Hold on, Polymarket cannabis. Let's see, weed rescheduled in 2025.
Do you know what's actually really interesting?
38% chance on Polymarket.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tasty. So maybe you get a 2-bagger on Polymarket or a 2-bagger in the.
Could be a good punt. That's all I'm gonna say. Could be a good punt for you guys. Anyway, I gotta run, Jonah. This has been a pleasure, as always, talking to you.
Likewise. Have a good one, man. I'll see you in a week.
Adios. Good luck out there, everybody.
Weed. Nothing said on the 1000X podcast is a recommendation to buy or sell any investments or products. This podcast is for informational purposes only, and the views expressed by anyone on the show are solely their opinions, not financial advice or necessarily the views of Blockworks. Our hosts, guests, and the Blockworks team may hold positions in the company's funds or projects discussed.